Mine will be, oh, I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
All right. Cool. Sorry about the mix-up. That was
Oh, it's okay. I'm just glad we figured it out.
yeah.
Um,
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I have to let you know you're being recorded, according to
Gotcha.
YouTube's guidelines.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, but welcome back. How have you been? How's the quarantine treating you?
It's actually been really nice. I mean, a lot of bad shit's going on right now, but I feel like I really needed a break from just being on the go, and I hadn't been home for a really long time. Like just because we were recording in the studio, and prior to that, we were on tour. We barely had any recovery time. I didn't have privacy. I was around dudes all the time, so it's been nice being home, waking up in my own bed, and I feel like I have the energy and the emotional like capacity to learn new things. So I've been teaching myself how to record and
Nice.
track violin. I've been doing like vocals and stuff for people, so it's really random, but yeah,
Nice.
new skills.
That's good. That's good. I mean, it's always important to grow and learn new abilities and
hmm
even try new things that maybe you never thought that you would do. You know, like you said, like trying your hand at recording and whatnot. But you're
Yeah.
you're doing that with the new album you guys put out or are putting out. It's not out yet. I have it, but aha.
Aw.
Haha to the fans. But you'll have it June 5th. But you're singing. You're singing now. That's awesome.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, you're singing on a couple songs. It's not just you put out Parachutes, but you're singing on another one too, right? Farewell.
Yeah, farewell. And then at the end of Odessa, I go like, ooh. Is it ooh da ah?
What made you, try that out and want to try vocals since, the band itself was predominantly instrumental most of the time.
Well, my whole rule is that like if music, I don't know, everything I do in the band is to serve the music. So if I write a song and it's deficient in something, or if I said just hear obvious vocals like go over it, I don't want to rule it out. I want to make sure that like I do everything that's good for the song. And when I wrote Parachute and Farewell, I was like, these sound like indie songs, and I feel like I hear immediate vocal lines that should go over them. So I ended up writing that. And also the reason why I kept it instrumental for so long was actually because I I don't know. Like, I feel like everyone always assumes that if there's like a girl in a band, she's the singer. And so I was kind of being like, like stick it to the man. Like, I'm just gonna keep it instrumental so that like I'll never be the singer in the band. And I wanted to keep it so that like, oftentimes when there are vocals in a band, like I feel like people um start calling it like female fronted or like
Mm, yeah,
especially if it's a girl singer. So I really wanted to avoid that starting out the band. I wanted it to be like we're equals. I write the music, but like when you hear the music, you're not thinking about like, oh, it's female fronted. You're just thinking it's music.
right.
So but now I feel like I've established that, and I can go off and experiment, do whatever I want. And also, it's a silly reason to not do something because that might benefit the music just because you're scared of being labeled as something. So,
Right. Yeah, people are always a little, and I get it. They're scared of trying to maybe do something outside of the box for their sound, but I mean,
hmm
like you said, it limits the creativity. It limits what it could
yeah,
potentially be, just because you want to keep a certain thing. Like that's one of the problems my old band had was that we would just write whatever and it would like one song would be a punk song and the next song would be a 18-minute prog thing and then like and it would and then like there's a ballad so like it would isolate the fans, which is a problem because we'll have people in the audience that were looking forward to the singing parts and not so much the 18-minute Prague
yeah.
moment. So I get the hesitation to try something new, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, and it's evidence of your creativity because you do also play a lot of different instruments. Last time we talked about that, you play piano and violin, and also you paint. You painted the cover for Technicolor as well.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was
Cool.
I did it in the studio. There was no lighting, so I had to buy a lamp to see what I was doing.
Is that why I was going to say it's a little bit darker in terms of color than the previous efflorescent? There was more. The previous one had more color on the flowers, where this one is more of purple and like darker tones. Was it because of the lighting, or is it something more towards the theme of what you were feeling?
I think the theme of it was just taking something kind of dark and adding color to it. So I wanted the flower to be like bright, but like not like too vivid. And I wanted the birds, like the rainbow Gouldian finches that I had painted, I wanted them to be the highlight, like exploding from the flower.
Nice, nice, yeah. So is it's kind of weird to ask. Is there a theme? Because lyrically, obviously, when you have lyrics, you can tell that what the song is about.
Yeah.
But when it comes to instrumental songs, it's a little harder to determine the theme or what you're thinking, and you just kind of leave it up to interpretation to the listener. But is there a theme throughout the album itself, that ties in with the art and everything?
I would say that the album's aim is to be uplifting. I always, with all my music, I want it to take the listener on like a journey or like make them imagine a story. Even with instrumental music, like I want it to set a scene, paint a mood. And I would say that this album is moody. There's like ones that have a little bit more sass, and there's ones that are like kind of post-rock, emotional sounding things. So I think overall, though, I wanted it to be uplifting. And kind of just feel like we were joking that like we have one of every color on the album, because there's songs that are like darker, and then there's songs that are like obviously very light and airy. So that's why we ended up calling it Technicolor, because it's like a whole spectrum. And
Yeah.
I guess we wanted to also convey that we wanted like a huge sonic palette for this album.
Yeah, it has a cohesive sound, like it sounds like a band. And it's stupid to say, it's kind of cliche, but it's like, oh, you guys found your sound or whatever, your voice, but it does all sound like you guys, but every song has something a little bit different to offer. And I know you're playing with a lot more pedals and I mean, I've seen your videos online. You post whenever you find new gear, you're like post videos of yourself trying it out and playing with it. So what got you into looking into more pedals? And I mean, is it just to open up the palette to have more, like you would say, like more color to play with?
Yeah, I'm actually quite new to electric guitar. I feel like, I mean, I call it new. I've been playing electric for probably around like 6 years now, 5, 6 years. So it's like when I started out, I just didn't use any gear. I was just clean tone in an amp. And I feel like just recently in the last 3 years, I had an aha moment. I was like, oh, wait, pedals are sick. I should have them on all the time. So even now, like what's my clean tone is probably actually me going through like a bright preamp or like a gain pedal. Like it's like you can do these little things to sculpt your clean tone to make it like the exact tone you want. And I remember after touring a lot with my current pedal board, I started getting really familiar with everything, and I started actually writing using pedals. A lot of the songs on Technicolor were actually demo riffs that I had. I was demoing an avalanche run. I was demoing a fuzz pedal. I was demoing a polyphonic modulator, and then those demo riffs actually became full songs because I liked them so much. So I think a lot of the variety on the album is also because I was inspired by a wide variety of gear that I plugged in.
That's awesome. Yeah, you would think a lot of guitar player purists that I hang out with or whatever would give people crap when they use too many pedals. It's like, oh, you're cheating, you're using all these things, but it's I don't agree with that. Like it adds, like one of my favorite bands is like Minus the Bear, and
Yeah.
I've seen them live, and there's moments where he's not even touching the guitar. He's just playing on top of the pedals.
Yeah, it's sick. You have to view it like my aha moment was realizing that they're instruments in themselves, like, and they can actually guide your melodies. Like sometimes if you're having trouble not being really being too notey all the time, then plug into a reverb pedal or a delay pedal and just really listen to the trails, and it'll actually sometimes sounds cheesy, but like it'll actually kind of dictate your melody sometimes and write the song for you. And I don't think it's cheating. I always viewed like again, relating it to visual art, which is my primary language, I feel like a song, a melody is like a black and white drawing, and then all the pedals, all the effects you end up using, all the tones, those are the colors that you put in, and you have to be strategic about it. Like, you don't have to color in the whole thing. You just color in certain sections to like really bring out the overall image.
Mm, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Um, have you been doing any teaching during this quarantine thing, like over Skype or Zoom or anything like that?
I was teaching for a bit, but honestly, I've been so preoccupied with like just random little jobs, like guitar collabs, things like that. I just don't have time. And also, like, I'm kind of loving zero human interaction right now, so I'm just gonna keep it that way. I think I needed it.
Well, I'm sorry to make you interact with the
Oh,
human.
no, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
fine with this, but it's just like when I'm like in a musical mindset, I kind of like just keeping to myself. So I feel like I feel more inspired when I don't have to split my mind between teaching and like thinking about someone else, and also just like thinking about the song. Like, it's like it takes like two different brains to be creative versus to teach.
Yeah,
So
for
it's nice
sure.
not having to switch in between both brains.
Yeah, I definitely
Like,
don't have. No, go ahead.
oh, I was saying when I was teaching art at school, like I would always tell myself, I can't wait to go home and like write music, and then I'd go home and I'd be so exhausted from just having to be in a teacher mindset that I wouldn't have the inspiration and drive to like write music. So,
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't have that at all. Like that second brain to teach, I don't have that. I can't teach people anything. I have zero patience when it like I'm nice to people and like I can point in a direction like, hey, go, do this. But once it becomes like like a step by step, like I need you to do this and then I need you to do that, like I I can't do it. I can't
yeah,
do it.
try doing that with, but instead of adults, it's with like 6-year-olds.
Oh, no, my no. My old drummer teaches in schools as well with young kids, and I'm like, dude, you're a stronger man than I am because I don't have the patience, or if they don't listen or like especially younger kids when they're like rebellious and they're like, no, I don't wanna. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
uh,
able to. But it's nice that you got a break, and you're obviously like you said, there's a lot of terrible things going on, but at least you are taking advantage of the time to work on yourself and take some time. But are you okay in terms of finances? Because I know a lot of people are out of work, and touring is such a big revenue stream for musicians that I wonder how everybody's doing and what you're doing to stay afloat.
yeah, it's funny is we actually don't make that much money touring. Like for us, we end up paying out our crew and everything, so we go home with not a lot.
Mhm.
um, I actually find doing things outside of music to be more, not music, sorry. Doing things outside of my
The band.
band is technically more lucrative. Like I feel like the model that I always describe to people is like your band is like a way. It's like planting a tree or something. Like it's like the trunk, and it helps you get opportunities, exposure, and legitimacy, especially if you're signed and like you are touring.
Mhm.
Companies like that because you're gonna like be in front of people. But then the things where you're gonna really experience making money is the branches that come off of the band, which would be like your endorsements, doing demo videos for companies, doing like advertisements and commercials. I did a commercial recently for Logitech, which is kind of funny, super
Nice.
random, but that was fun, and it was a musical exercise. Like I wrote music for them, and there's other things like doing clinics. That's
Mhm.
another branch that comes off of being in a touring band, because in your clinics you can talk about the touring band experience. People want to hear it from someone who actually does it.
Right.
um, Let me see what else. Oh, and your solo projects, like if you can have projects of your own on the side that you can promote using the band's platform. So everything that the band does, it's supposed to feed the branches that end up making money. So I've been really focusing on, like, well, I'm lucky in that I am pretty conservative with my spending. So I mean, aside for some things, but like
Well, gear is not cheap, so.
yeah. Well, I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that sometimes when I demo something, I get to keep it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's really nice. But I had a bit of savings left over, so I've just been kind of like sitting on that. And it's funny because prior to this, I wasn't making money at all for like probably like 4 or 5 months.
Oh, wow.
I was just because I was in the studio. Like when you're recording in the studio, you're not making money, or you're like purely just writing an album. And then prior to that, on tour, we didn't make any money from our last tour. I think we didn't go in the red, but we made money, but it wasn't enough to like split in between three of us. So we were like, okay, we'll just save it, you know? So prior to that, it's not like I had a profit anyway. So during this quarantine time, I've been doing video content for people. I've been doing guest solo work. I've been doing features, and I feel like all of that will end up paying off more than like touring. I was joking that like, man, I kind of like this because I get to be home and I actually make money instead of like being on the road and just like suffering every day. It's not suffering, but like you're not sleeping, you're not eating, and you're like not showering, you're just dirty and sad and like and like poor, but it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's a double-edged sword touring because obviously you love to perform your music and perform it in front of people and see the direct connection with the fan, like seeing them react,
Yeah.
but then there's all that other stuff, like you said, like not really eating all that well or sleeping all that well and not showering and unless you're like Iron Maiden or something where you're on this giant bus and you got hotels and the whole thing. Like unless you're on that level, it's a struggle.
Yeah, it is. It's like I think the goal is to eventually get there. Like you gotta get hazed by the DIY touring lifestyle for a bit, and I can't wait to start touring again. I can't wait to tour in this new music. Like I think it's music that I actually really love and enjoy playing, and yeah, it's a new era for us.
I'm excited to see you guys again. I mean, last time I saw you, it was a weird situation. There was a venue here in California, and you guys had a show at the same time as another band, as another tour package. And I was like, why would anyone book that? Not you specifically, but just like, why would the venue do that? Why would you have, it was Covet, I forget who else you were with, but in the other room, it was Glassjaw and Quicksand, I believe,
Oh yeah,
or something like that. It was like two
yeah.
big shows at the same time. I'm like, what is? I had to run from room to room. It was,
I remember that. Yeah, it
yeah,
was. I guess a lot of venues do that. It's
it's
kind of,
weird.
yeah, it is. It's overwhelming, and we're lucky that like it's not like there's bleed from the other show that we like hear them. I played an acoustic show once, and on upstairs was I forgot the name of the band, but they were like, oh, it was like sorority noise or something. They were like really loud, so my entire acoustic set, I couldn't hear anything.
Wow, that's terrible.
It was Portland. Thanks, Portland.
Yeah, thanks, Portland. I mean, that's weird. I don't mind if it's completely different genres. Like if there's a hip hop show in one room and then a
Yeah.
metal show in the other, like that's not a problem because different crowds.
Yeah.
Maybe you like both, but it's you're there for one specific thing. But when there's you know all rock bands or metal bands in two different rooms at the same time, I never got that. I appreciate it when festivals also plan things out better than just like, hey, here are three of your favorite bands and they're all playing at the same time. Like
Yeah. Right.
how are we
It's
supposed to figure that out?
I dread festivals because it's like when you go to an amusement park and you're trying to plan out which rides you want to do and like you have limited time. It's kind of like that at a festival. It's like, okay, we have like the window at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock to go see this person, and then it's just like stressful, and then you end up just being tired.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and you don't really enjoy it. You're just
Yeah.
worried about keeping the schedule, and it's not as
Yeah.
fun. It's definitely not as fun, but I'm excited to see you guys back on the road. What do you guys have anything planned for after? I mean, even though things are still kind of up in the air, a lot of places are opening up now. But do you have tours booked? Because I've seen some people booking stuff for 2021 and like later in the year.
We're aiming for like winter time.
Okay.
Um, I hope it happens because I am itching to go out and play this music live. I gotta say, I kind of really strongly dislike live stream shows.
Mm.
Like, the sound's never good, and it's just always weird because it's like there's no reaction, and I hate having to like be distracted by looking at my screen to see if everything's okay. I feel like, and
Yeah.
there's something like the beautiful thing about attending a show is that you're with other people who are just as excited about the band playing, so it's like kind of a bonding experience, and everyone's like energy is contagious. Like everyone's stoked, and that's what I love about going to live shows. But at home, when you're watching through a screen, you don't really, you get trolls like and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking all the time. But yeah, I think we have something planned in fall, or sorry, winter. But it keeps on getting pushed, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a weird time. Like I've been getting slack from people, or flack, not slack, flack from people about my contradicting opinions on it, because I appreciate that artists and musicians are trying to do something outside of the box,
Mm-hmm.
and are trying to figure out ways to continue to be creative and put out content during such a weird time that they can't perform. But at the same time, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I dread a future where we like all are just basically sealed into our chairs and we just put on a VR headset to go to a show. Like that's scary to me and I don't ever want that.
Yeah, it's not good. There's a lot of things also outside of music. Like I've been watching UFC fights and like pro wrestling things in empty arenas. Like they're putting on the show for no one,
That's
and
weird.
it's so awkward because you're used to like something good happening and then the audience
Yeah.
clapping
Yeah.
or cheering, but it's just nothing. Like
Yeah,
it's not fun.
it's like Black Mirror episode or something. I was watching Hassan Minaj, his show. I forgot the name of the show. Something report. It's like a comedy show with like a live studio audience where he
Hmm.
just tells you about like current events, and it's like informative and funny. And the
Yeah.
whole point of it is that there's a studio audience interaction, but like now it's just him, like just he makes a joke and then he literally pauses. Like you're supposed to laugh, and it's just so
Oh,
weird.
oh, that's awkward,
It's
man.
so
Yeah.
weird. Stand up like with no crowd is just so weird.
Yeah, if we don't get back out to playing, to comedy shows and letting comedians have a crowd, comedy's just gonna die because I don't stand up comedy with no one there doesn't work.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't work.
it's just bizarre. I feel like
Yeah.
part of the fun is you see other people laughing too. It's like the show. Part of the fun is everyone else is stoked, like everyone else is singing the lyrics to the song. Everyone else is
Yeah.
headbanging. Now you're at
Yeah.
home. Like,
Yeah, it's a big element about or at least for me, for my enjoyment. Like I know some people go to concerts to just stand there and stare at your fingers, while you're doing your thing.
yeah.
Uh, but for me, I like to feel the music, and there's times too when I go to a show and I'm feeling pumped up, like I wanna jump or I wanna mosh, and no one's doing that, and it feels weird. And now it's like that, but without the crowd. Now it's like I'm all amped up, but there's no one here.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had discussions with people where they think this is going to be it. Like this is going to change entertainment. Like there's going to be a lot more of this even after everything opens up. There's still going to be people doing virtual shows that are just people that are immune system compromised
Yeah.
or too much social anxiety and they can't go out.
You know what's funny is I get more social anxiety for live streaming than I do being in on stage. And it's funny because I'm not a stage person either. Like I do get stage fright still to this day, even though I grew up performing. But it's like for me, there's something so weird about the silence and not being able to like see people's faces. I I read a weird study that like because of this is somewhat related, but um, I was when I was working as an art teacher, I noticed that a lot of the kids they were were unable to like imagine things anymore. Like they always had to look up a reference image for drawing. Like I'm like, draw me a sun. they're like, I don't know how to draw a sun. I'm like, okay, like, but what do you think a sun looks like? Just draw it. You know, obviously it'd be a circle with like the stick things coming out. And then they'd be like, I need an iPad. And like, so they'd have to look up an image of the sun and then draw it. And I was like startled at like the lack of imagination that I was seeing. And then similarly, a lot of people, I think I read a study where it was the kids are having trouble recognizing like facial cues now, so they're like are unable to like read emotions off faces just because everyone's on a screen all the time, everyone's doing this. So I feel like anything that is encouraging people to not interact in person, and anything that is encouraging people to like kind of just withdraw and not have like that human experience, I think is a bit troubling for the future. That being said, like for anyone who does feel better staying inside, I'm not criticizing that. Like I think if that works for you, if you get anxiety from going out, then that's great. I'm so happy that there's a platform for people with anxiety to perform. But I experience the opposite. Like I need to know what people are feeling from their faces. I need to like be able to like talk to people in the crowd. I want to meet people afterwards. I don't want to just like type click.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of trolls on the internet. Like it's baffling to me that I don't know who encouraged it, like how that became a thing. Like
Yeah.
I know it's been a thing for a long time, but I don't know how it started. Where that it's okay for you to just bully people online. Like that makes zero sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not like your words don't hurt. Like like recently we had a I'm sorry if I have to look this up because it's kind of it's related and it's important, and I forgot the name and I don't want to be that guy.
No worries. Put a troll on blast. I'm just kidding.
yeah, no, but it's not putting a troll on blast. It's just I don't understand why it's okay. And I think we should figure out ways to prevent that from happening in the future, because there was a 22-year-old professional wrestler, Hana Kimura. She was a Japanese wrestler, 22 years old.
Oh, I've heard of her, yeah.
Committed suicide thanks to cyberbullying.
No way.
Yeah. 3 days ago. Shit. Yeah, she was getting, she had a TV show, and apparently, I don't know, people didn't like it or whatever, and they were just nonstop, just toxic troll comments on her videos, and eventually she lost the will to live. And it's like, man, that's a big problem. That's such a big problem. And how do we even address that without people getting up in arms with like, oh, it's a freedom of speech? Like, what like, you have freedom of speech, but there should be some kind of moderation, right? Like somebody should be moderating that.
Some people truly, I think, are just miserable on the inside and don't have an outlet for that self-hatred. So I feel like they just want to spread negativity. There's been times where someone said something rude to me, and usually I ignore, but there's been a few times where I'm like, whoa, this is something deeper. So I'll like message them and I'll be like, what's up? You want to have a healthy adult discussion about this? And then they'll suddenly backtrack and be like, oh, I didn't think you'd read it. Like, I'm really depressed and I hate myself. So like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean it. And I'm just like, well, then why spread this negativity? Like, I'm sorry. I hope you do better. I hope, life is on the up for you eventually. But yeah, I do feel like it's the anonymity thing. It's the fact that you don't have to be accountable for what you put out on the internet. Like, you can literally have your profile picture be like, I don't know, like Shrek or something, and then like just say whatever you want. I think it would be, I was joking with my friends that it'd be funny if on YouTube, in order to comment, you had to leave a video message. Like, imagine if it's like you click it and it's you saying what you want to comment, like to the camera.
I think a lot more people would be less prone to doing that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They'll hesitate a little more to have their face out there saying it. It's and I can imagine that you get a ton of trolls too. Just being female and just just getting people that, oh, would it get out of metal? Like, yeah. I'm sure that's nonstop.
Oh, I had something terrible happen to me recently, and it became public because I had to drop out of tour because of it. And instead of being compassionate and empathetic, people made memes about me getting gangbanged and stuff. And like, it was like, it was difficult, but at the end of the day, like these people are just sitting at home, and it's like I'm recovering. I'm going to therapy for everything, but like I'm making do with like, having to have a tough skin and just ignore what people say. Because I started writing music and playing music not for the validation of other people, but because it's like something that kept me healthy and kept me alive. So that's sacred to me, and I'm not going to let a bunch of miserable trolls take that away from me.
That's good. That's good. Like I
Yeah.
said, the whole thing with Hannah
Yeah.
really struck a chord with me. It's like, man, without revealing too much, that I kind of my day job is moderating that kind of behavior online,
Wow.
and it's torturous to me to see that happen and to see that it affects people in that way. And it's good to hear that you have thicker skin and you're working your way through it. Because I read your post about what happened to you, and I mean
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up because I don't want to dig up old stuff, but how are you now past that point? I mean, if you want to talk about it, if now we can move on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm still recovering. It's done a lot of psychological damage to me, and it certainly made me really wary of who I trust in the scene, just because I feel like the way it was handled was, quite frankly, very disappointing. But that being said, I do appreciate my fan base. I feel like everyone who is a healthy, mature adult, like, handled it like a healthy, mature adult. And there's some people who just love to stir drama because there's nothing else going on in their life,
Yeah.
and that's fine. My whole point with making the post wasn't to like it wasn't to like me too this person.
Hmm.
It wasn't to like shame them. It was to explain why I had to pull off a tour, and it disrupted my work. Like, it took money away from me, and it took like touring experience away from me. And a lot of my fans paid a lot of money. My fans aren't like rich people, so a lot of them were saving up to see me. I got messages all the time like, so excited to see you soon. And then I had to pull the plug, and everyone's of course disappointed. So I felt like I owed an explanation to these people why I can't tour, especially because it's outside of my choice. Like,
Hmm.
I was not doing good during that time. I was in the studio just writing an album, and I remember thinking, like, how am I supposed to go on tour like this? Like, I can't. So, yeah, I mean, I'm still recovering, still keeping it together just by diving into my work and working on music, and um, I'm seeking help. But yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate side effect of going public and telling people why I had to pull off tour is people accuse me of lying about it, like denying me my reality for half a
Just
year.
good Lord.
People think I do it for attention. People think I was making it up just to like help my album or something, which is absurd. Uh, yeah,
Your
it's
albums don't need help. Your talent speaks for itself. Like,
oh,
that's ridiculous.
thanks. Yeah, I was like, do you think I need this to like promote my album? Like, if anything, it took away from the album because I can't talk about the album. I can't pour myself into music because I'm like hurting.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, if I put a positive spin on it, it taught me a really valuable lesson about trust. It taught me a really valuable lesson about um, depending on other people to take care of your shit. Like, you got to just handle it yourself. I was trying to. Uh, I was trusting his bandmates to take care of it, but they absolutely didn't. So, moving forward, I think I'm just going to do what I think is right for myself, and I'm not going to let other people tell me what to do. And then the third lesson is I took all the pain that I had from that and I just put it in this music. So the reason why Technicolor sounds the way it does is because like I was hurting, and a lot of the songs are a lot of the lyrics are about you got to take when things are like dark, you got to just take it day by day, and everything's gonna be okay. And things are scary, but just hang in there. It's like a message I was writing to myself, but hopefully it's gonna help other people too.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the songs. Well, the songs are inspired by that. Like, I read on the bio I got sent over on the record that that whole situation did inspire writing some of the songs on there, and
Hmm.
that's the best way to heal. And it's I've always found that interesting to me, the connection that music has to some of our emotions and feelings. A lot of the times in my past, when I've had a relationship problem or some kind of death in the family or something
Mm-hmm.
tragic, there always ends up being like a song or two that gets connected to that event. So then when I hear it later, I get sad, and
Yeah.
it makes me mad because I'm like, no, I like that song, but now I can't
Yeah.
hear it. Uh,
Yeah.
do you think, like, when you created this and you were pouring out, your emotions into the song, like, do you think that that might happen later with those songs? Like, will you feel uncomfortable once you've moved past, like, revisiting those kinds of emotions?
First of all, I want to say I totally understand that feeling. My rule is if I do date someone, I first don't show them any music I like because I'm like, no, like I'm not gonna let you ruin this for me. There's like
Yeah.
albums I can't listen to just because I'm like, oh, it reminds me of sad times.
Mm.
Um, but for in terms of this music, I think that I can play it and still be happy because it's not like the music is what helped me through these difficult times. And I feel like it's just going to remind me of feeling really empowered whenever I pick up my guitar. Because I remember I wrote Parachute and Farewell crying into my guitar. Like, I literally was sitting there just like not feeling it, but I had a deadline to fulfill. So I was like, I have to write music today, even if I don't have it in me to do it. I have to, because so many people are depending on me. So many things are. We booked the studio time. We booked all like the tours and everything. So I was like, I gotta finish this music no matter what. So, but then it ended up being like such a blessing in disguise because through writing this music, I was able to like just pull myself out of that dark place and just mentally go somewhere else for a minute. And then I wrote the songs are uplifting and happy because it's like I was trying to write music that sounded like how I wish I felt.
Mm.
And
Okay.
by the end of playing the song, by the end after I wrote the song and I learned it, I ended up feeling really happy too, because like the music kind of brought me out of that place and transformed my mood. I think guitar and music have this like super transformative power over your feelings and your mood. Like if you're ever sad, you're not feeling it, play a song that like you makes you want to dance and it like
Oh yeah.
totally lifts you out of it. It's
Oh
sick.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. My wife actually prepared a playlist of songs for when I'm in a bad mood.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, so like if I'm having a rough day or something's going on, like she'll just throw that on while we're in the car or something, and it's ridiculous songs. It's never it's songs like Thong Song from Cisco. I know that
Oh,
it's I know that it's a misogynistic type song or whatever, but it's not about that to me. To me, I listen to the violins, I
yeah.
listen to the just the how ridiculous the lyrics are, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, you can't listen to that song and not laugh. Like how are you gonna listen to Thong Song and not laugh?
Yeah. On on that list also ain't nobody from Shaka Khan. That song every time I hear that little synth boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, I get up and I want to dance.
Dude,
It's
yeah. Oh, it's so funny because like you're talking about this, and I just imagined the songs that I listen to that make me want to get up and dance, and it like immediately like made me feel really like I don't know tingly. So that's the power of
what
music.
what songs would be on your feel good playlist?
Ooh, okay. I love me some Porches. Like they have like just driving like beats and stuff, and it's like sometimes the singing is kind of melancholic and sad, but like I love that juxtaposition. And it's just like there's like arpeggiation going in the background, so it, like to me it reminds me of just like dancing in a club. The Japanese House,
Nice.
the tones on her new record is amazing. Are amazing. Like what else? Um, uh, there's like a microwave song that Vomit that always makes me want to get up and like smash things, but in like an empowering way. What else? Oh, The Darkness. How can I forget about The
The
Darkness?
darkness, yeah.
Yo, Justin's voice is insane, and I feel like Permission to Land, or I think that's the album with all the bangers on it. It's
Yeah.
like front to back, just very uplifting, emotional, like rock and roll.
It's funny, the darkness and Andrew WK were two artists that when they first came out, I hated them. I was like, no, I don't like this. And then, and then as I got a little older, I was like, this is great. This is just fun. Like I have a blast. Like I think Andrew WK at the moment I realized that it was good was when I saw him live. I had
Okay.
seen I saw like the videos and stuff. I'm like, this is silly, but like not in a. I was also in like a weird place in my life where I was just angry and making angry music and being aggressive. So having a party happy song kind of felt like whatever, bro. You're happy. Uh, but after seeing him live and seeing the energy and the performance, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. I was just being stupid, you know.
Yeah, it's like sometimes things have to grow on you. I find that like some of my most rewarding relationships with artists and bands have been the one where I didn't understand it at first, but I took the time and I had the patience to like really research what they do, and then I realized that it's like just everything they do is cohesive, like the visuals, the music, like it's truly an art form. So, like a band like Shoo Shoo, at first when I heard Shoo Shoo, I was like, this is weird. But then I like looked up his videos and I was like, this is actually crazy, and I kind of like fuck with it hard. So Terramellos too. At first I saw Terramellos
Oh
and I was
yeah.
like, this is what? I don't get it. I was in high school. I was like, what? Like when is Boys Like Girls gonna come on? Like, like but like then, I went home and I listened to it more. I was like, actually this is sick.
I saw them with Foxy Shazam, I think, a long time ago. Long, long
Wow.
ago.
Foxy Shazam rules as well.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
did a lot of tours with Foxy back in the day. That was before they blew up. I'm sorry, I'm choking on that water I just drank.
Oh, it's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, Foxy. When we were playing shows with them, they were super aggressive, a lot of screaming and just madness. And then then cut to a couple years later, he's opening up. They're opening up for Hole, and
For
they're
who?
Hole for Courtney
Wha-
Love.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and
Weird.
I'm like, wait, what is happening? And then shortly after that, it was Eric from Foxy singing with Macklemore for the
What?
MTV, yeah, with the MTV Awards, and I'm like, what
Weird.
is happening?
I love that. I love unexpected crossovers. Like,
Yeah,
it's just cool. Like, different genres fuck with each other. I love that. Like, that's the only way to make something new, too, if these, like, different genres cross-pollinate. And then, who knows, something really new and innovative could happen.
yeah, I've always been a fan of that because I mean, I grew up listening to all kinds of different music,
Hmm.
and when I tried to discover who I was, meeting people, making friends, joining cliques, all that stuff. I always felt out of place because there was like, oh no, we only listen to this specific genre of metal. Like, if you don't listen to this, then you're a loser or whatever. And I was like super stoked with like the Judgment Day soundtrack when that came out because it was mixing metal and rap. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is unique.
This
And
is
then that
dope.
whole thing blew up.
Yeah, like new metal stuff.
Yeah. Your videos have been awesome, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Super creative. Are you behind the artistic direction for most of those videos, or is there a team effort going on?
I usually write the treatments for all the videos first. Like, I have a notebook where I actually planned all the parachutes videos and, sorry, the parachute video and the Nero video. Um, I remember being on the plane, like, just right. I was on the plane to my UK clinics and I was like feeling really inspired. I couldn't sleep, so I just ended up coming up with a couple ideas and doing a couple of sketches for what I had in mind and storyboarding it. And then what happens is I take the idea, I bring the ideas up to my band. I'm like, would you guys be down to film a video like this? And they're usually like, yeah. And then I'm like, then I go to my video guy, Tom Flynn, and then I tell him my idea, and then he's like, I'm like, is this possible? Like, can we do this? And he's usually like, oh, Yvette, do we have to use like 10 tons of glitter? I'm like, yes, we absolutely do have to use 10 tons of glitter. No, but seriously, like, we kind of like put our heads together and then fill in any holes that might be in the plot that we need to like figure out how to do, figure out logistics. Then we all get together as like a team, my bandmates and Tom, and then like, for Nero, I was like, we're gonna be post-apocalyptic junkyard warriors fighting over Fruit Loops, which is absurd, and it's fun. And then I was like, okay, so you guys get to choose how you want to dress. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, I got my costume all planned out, but like, have fun. Like, go crazy. Do whatever you want. So we got to go shopping and like buy a bunch. We thrifted a bunch of that shit too.
Nice.
So yeah, it is collaborative in the end, but I feel like it has to start with me having some kind of vision and like concretely spelling it out with drawings and like words.
Okay. I was gonna say, I mean, if it is your brainchild, or that's something that you're a big part of, like, have you considered as a different avenue as well to maybe do videos for other people?
100%. I went to art school after all, like,
Yeah.
so I studied like video editing and everything. And I think I just lack the equipment for it. Like I'm not down to make a like a $20,000 investment or something. So I'm
Right.
quite happy just working with Tom because we have great synergy.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to do, I would love to be like the art director or something for a music video one day. Like maybe if I didn't do music, maybe if the future is truly cyber shows, like I'm just gonna opt out of live performance and just go into like art direction and like storyboarding videos for people because I love treatments. I love imagining. Like I used to walk home from school every day. Long story short, I had OCD in high school real bad, and every day I'd have to walk home the same way. And if something messed it up, I'd have to go start over. And sometimes going home would be like an hour ordeal for me. And one thing that kept me distracted was listening to music in my headphones. So I'd walk, listen to music, and I would imagine music videos for the music that I was listening to. So that's something that I like the visual component of music and like the audio component have always been very strongly linked for me. And I get really excited when I listen to a song. I try to imagine like, ooh, where would this song take place and like what's happening and what's the story. Like I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to love. I mean, I don't do it as much anymore. But when I was younger, I would imagine music videos in my head for songs that I liked that didn't have
Mhm.
one. But
Yeah.
that was just something I never had the skill to animate or just put something together like that. Like I would write it down, but that's it's all in a notebook somewhere in a box. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's cool that you were able to do that though. For me, it's like borderline obsession. Like when I come up with a music video idea, I'm like, I gotta figure out the exact way to execute this. Like I don't want to have to settle. Like I need to figure out how to do this. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel that technology's definitely gotten us to a point where we can do stuff like that with minimal skill, I guess. Not skill, but like for people that don't have, there's people that have creativity, and then there's people that have a skill, like a talent. Like there's artists. You see a lot of it in comic books where there's, the creator, and then there's the inker or the coloring person. Like there's different layers because like maybe the creator can't draw. They have this idea but they can't draw it out. And I feel that they're I don't want to put people out of work, but it would be cool if there was ways for people that have ideas to create more easily, I guess. I don't know. While having to have $1 million. Yeah.
yeah, I think I do love in that aspect. I appreciate technology developing to make it more accessible to people who don't have tons of money, like 3D printing. I feel like in the future is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's going to be more affordable. It's going to help people mass produce things. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get one of those because I mean I've seen like one of my buddies has one and he's been doing like helmets and props for his kids for costumes for just Halloween or whatever, and like man that would be so cool to just create the things you want in your house, like
Yeah.
just boom, there it is, here's a helmet that I want. Like
Even a
I,
guitar would be
I
crazy.
is there anybody making 3D printed guitars yet? Like is that
I've
a thing?
tried I tried a 3D printed guitar in France, and I mean it was one that you could like disassemble and like put in a box, and then you could like put it together like Legos, and it was a bit weird. Like I couldn't tell how it sounded. The action was a bit high.
Hmm.
But I feel like maybe if I don't know how it sounds, but maybe if you refined the uh, model for it a bit, like it could be cool. I feel like it's like a nice concept. It just needs to be executed really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about guitars to figure out whether or not a 3D printed one works. I know that I saw at NAMM a foldable guitar, and
Yeah.
I was like, nah, that doesn't sound right. Like, what do you mean? The
Yeah.
strings are bending? Like, how does that not
Yeah.
ruin the sound? You know?
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, like I don't want to have to set up my guitar every time. I don't want to have to build it. like every song I want to play. I don't mind lugging around a huge instrument if it means I can just take it out of the bag and play.
How many guitars are you lugging around on tour right now?
I usually have the max I've ever carried around is 3, I think.
3?
Yeah.
And it's mostly for different tunings, I assume?
Yeah, just so I can just grab it instead of like I have like tunings that are the lower string is D and then tunings where the lower string is F. So I like to just kind of keep those separate. Yeah, it's faster than having to tune all the time.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I never like I've never seen a talented musician just walk in with one guitar. There's always a box with at least 4 or 5 different guitars for that specific thing. Because nobody wants to stand there and watch you tune. Like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you. All right, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. I for songs where I have to tune, I usually loop. Like I'll play something and then Forrest and David will jam on it, and then I'll be like, tuning. It just sucks. Sometimes something will go wrong, and then they're done, and I'm still not done tuning, and I'm just like trying to hurry up.
Nice. Have you had any time to outside of music and art do anything else? Like everybody's binging TV shows and reading or anything like that. Have you been doing anything outside of music and art?
I've been cooking.
Okay.
I'm a quiche chef now. I like tried to make quiche for the first time, and it came out kind of awesome. I'm like into it. I'm vegetarian, so I was trying to make like a quiche Lorraine, and I was using veggie ham instead of like the normal ham that's in quiche Lorraine. I want to make lasagna, but I haven't had the courage to attempt it yet. I'm just scared to mess up. I've been making pasta dishes and stuff like that. You know what's cool about quarantine is since everything's canceled, I feel like normally when you have a time limit, like this is at least it applies to me. Before I had deadlines and I had everything scheduled and planned for me already and lined up. So I felt like experimentation and doing something where I might mess up wasn't allowed because I only did things where it was guaranteed that like I would get an end product that was usable. So I was scared to mess up because to me it was like a waste of time and I didn't have a lot of time to waste. But now that I have this extra time where I don't have to like, put out an album or I don't have to go out on tour immediately, actually be home, I feel like I'm experimenting with things more and I've been recording myself, and sometimes I record it, I listen back, and I'm like, no, that's not it, and I just scrap the whole thing and I start over. And I think before that was unheard of. It's like I can't waste an entire day. Like I have so much shit I have to do.
Right.
It's been kind of nice. Like if I mess up a quiche, if I mess up the lasagna, who cares? Like I can just try it again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad you're trying something new. I love cooking as well.
What do you cook?
All kinds of things. I'm not vegetarian, so the only thing we we don't eat is pork.
Gotcha.
We don't have pork in the house, but I try different things. Like I've been experimenting I watch a lot of the cooking shows to get ideas. Like my favorite one is Chopped because I feel like it's the closest thing to broke like stoner cooking. It's like I have eggs and gummy bears and what can I do with this?
And croutons.
But I tried I've been trying different dishes. Like I recently tried that Impossible ground meat that they started selling at the supermarket.
You like it?
I like it. I like it more than Beyond because it was Beyond is very grainy to me, and I was told that it's because I don't know how to cook the Beyond meat, but the Impossible actually felt texture-wise and flavor-wise felt like meat.
Yeah, I'm shocked sometimes. Like I'll have something, I'm like, I mean, I don't really, because I've been vegetarian since I was 11. I don't really remember what I'm missing, and maybe I'm telling myself like this is so convincing, but like. Yeah. I think it's great. I think just even have more plant-based options in the supermarket is nice because before I don't think it was accessible to everyone.
Yeah, yeah, it's really great. Like I used to be vegan for a couple years. Then after I got super sick, apparently I wasn't getting enough vitamins or something. I wasn't
Yeah,
doing
that
it.
can
I wasn't doing
happen.
it. Yeah, I wasn't doing it right. So I went back to just a normal whatever I could eat. And but I try to just keep a balance. Like if we're at the market, there's plant-based stuff. Just bring it in, and we'll mix it in with the other stuff. Like it doesn't have to. You don't have to be a strict vegetarian or vegan if you're kind of thinking about it and you're trying to fix your healthy diet or however you want to do it. Like I've just been slowly replacing things. Like okay, maybe we don't use butter, we use vegan butter, or we use
Yeah.
instead of this week instead of ground beef, we're gonna get Impossible meat, and we'll just to moderate and keep a balance.
Yeah, I think you know, a balance is key. A lot of people who have vegan diets definitely don't know how to um, balance nutrition, like the whole like getting all your amino acids and stuff. Like it's tricky. There's like certain food pairings that you have to consider.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people go into it and then just feel really sluggish and tired and sick. Um, but even a couple of days a week of just no meat can help.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's a significant change for me personally, and cutting out certain things has definitely helped. Because I mean, I did 10 years of touring and eating garbage, just tuna cans or like
Yeah.
the best thing was my mom used to date a military guy, and we stopped by her house on tour in North Carolina and just picked up a bunch of those MREs. I don't know if you've seen those. It's a meal ready to eat. It's just what they give military people. It's just a
Oh.
bag. It's a bag, and it's just full of a whole meal, and you have to make it, but and it's made so that you can make it out in the wild. Like you don't need
Oh.
yeah, and it's not great. It's like powdered cheese and like awful stuff, but it was food for tour and it was free. So that
Yeah.
so I grew up like feeding myself garbage, and then now in my older age, I'm like, I'm gonna probably have a miserable time in my 50s and 60s, if I don't fix certain things.
Yeah, to me, I view it as like you want to put the best kind of fuel in your body. So like when I'm touring and working, I don't want to eat like shit because anything I can do to just keep my energy levels high and keep from getting sick, I'll do it. There's nothing worse than being sick on tour. There's
Yeah.
like having to perform with a fever and stuff. Like it is not fun.
Especially if you're doing vocals. Like imagine having to do vocals with like a sore throat and like,
Ah,
mucus everywhere. It's just like, no.
I'll probably not have to imagine that soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe not soon, like next year.
Yeah. Well, Yvette, thank you so much for your time. It was
Yeah,
good seeing
absolutely.
you and talking to you again.
Oh, likewise. Yeah, I hope we get to see each other in person eventually.
Definitely, hopefully. Technicolor is out June 5th. You have a video for Parachutes out right now. So if you're watching and listening right now, go check it out if you haven't. And yeah, pick up the album. It's amazing. I heard the whole thing yesterday. I played it in the living room while we were doing stuff. So and I also heard the acoustics album, which I hadn't heard, and it's
Oh,
wonderful. It's
whoa,
wonderful.
surprise.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's
Played
wonderful.
violin on it.
Yeah, I was like, when the violins kicked in, I'm like, wow, listen to that. I knew it was you because I was like, we talked about that. You were playing violin, so it's great.
Thank you. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Eddie.
And I'm glad to hear you're doing, you're working on yourself. You're doing better. And yeah, hopefully soon we'll see each other at a show.
I'd love that.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care.
Take care.